Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football RPG. I'm Mike. You guys probably already know Evan and David by now, but we are joined by a special guest, the defense and streamer king himself, Pete Nova. Pete, congrats on the player profiler gig, and how are you?
I'm good, man. Excited to just have the NFL draft behind us. I feel like we've been talking about rookies ad nauseum, and there's almost so much you can talk about until they get the landing spots. But yeah, excited to talk a little redraft here too. Nice little switch up and change, and ready to roll.
Yeah, we're going to hop into some early 2025 wide receiver rankings for your redraft leagues. So if you're looking for Dynasty stuff, hop over. We have so many rankings. This is all pre-draft stuff. If you want post-draft, stick around to hit subscribe. But the beautiful, always lovely tier maker, we are just going to go through, try to put a couple of guys we think are S tier. You know, you want to target your first round. A tier, you're comfortable the back of the first, somewhere in the second or third. B, you guys know how tiers work. But Pete, as our very special guest, who would you like to put in the S tier?
I'm assuming S tier isn't ranked in order. Is it just going to be guys clumped into the tier, or
yeah, we can talk about specific like this versus that, but for the most part, I mean, I don't think anybody's sweating if they get one of the guys in S tier.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So I mean, it's nice and easy. Jamar Chase, right? I mean, that's the most obvious one. I mean, when you think about it, he's locked up. We don't got to worry about the contract negotiations anymore. Burrow, if he could stay healthy, right, we know what the offense can do. 23.7 points per game last year for Jamar Chase. I mean, 1,700 yards, 127 receptions, 175 targets. The biggest thing in this offense will be, is there a possibility that they actually start to maybe get more balance, run the football a little bit more? Maybe they do bring in like a Quinshon Judkins, and maybe that kind of throws things off balance. But this defense is terrible. And so I don't expect them to be in many games where, game script favors running the football as much to get more balance. So we know what this team likes to do. They like to air it out. And so not a ton left to be said about Jamar Chase.
Yep. I am famously quoted in a quarterback bad, and the answer is indefinitely. David, who do you want to throw up in the S tier?
I guess number 2, I'll put up Justin Jefferson. There was some quarterback insecurity, but if he found a way to make it work with Sam Darnold, who I am convinced is a fraud, he can make it work with a guy drafted in the top 10, put in the perfect situation.
Short and sweet. Just pick the good players. Evan, question. Do you want to put anyone else in the S tier, or do you want to move down to the A tier? Ball's in your court.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb still deserves to be in that S tier.
Absolutely.
He is still a clear-cut first-rounder in redraft. Still will have plenty of potential to be able to get an absolute king volume share. There is talk of them drafting a wide receiver 2, but honestly, a wide receiver 2 could help them out, specifically in this coming season, to be able to pull a little bit of the pressure off of Lamb. But we'll see what they do in the draft.
Yeah, completely agree. Everybody good calling this the S tier. These are the top 3 receivers for the season. Delightful. All right, I'm going to move on down to the A tier. I'm going to find, let's throw a layup in there. A.J. Brown, certified good at football. Everyone likes to hate on Jalen Hurts. All A.J. Brown does is turn in top 10 wide receiver seasons. I will draft the big, fast, strong guy who scores a lot of touchdowns. I know that's weird. Pete, over to you.
Yeah, I'm good with Drake London here. I think we saw the production with Michael Penix. I didn't see anything that concerned me. I think it's wheels up for this offense. Get another year under the belt in the system. I think there was a slight downtick, but when Kirk Cousins got hurt against Denver, that whole offense suffered. So it's really hard to use those numbers during those weeks that Kirk was really bad against Drake London. Still 13th in points per game, and that's with those struggles. 9 touchdowns last year. I'm excited to see the connection with him and Penix, and it looked pretty good in the games that they did play last year.
Completely agree, but I think my tier makers messed up because we have 75 wide receivers here, and I cannot find Drake London for the life of me. So
you got to go with a fun one. You just got to pick a fun one out.
Yeah, no, it's going to be super cool now. Look at that. Training camp pick.
All right.
Magic. I'll tell you after the show.
Beautiful.
All right, David, who you got in the A tier?
All right, next in the A tier, I'm going to put up Brian Thomas Jr. The dude had a remarkable rookie season in some pretty terrible conditions. Trevor Lawrence missed half the year. Doug Peterson, he lost his magic. Didn't matter. The dude just put up numbers time and time again. Second year, he's got Lawrence healthy. He has a better head coach, in my opinion, than Liam Cohen. He did a phenomenal job in Tampa. I can't wait to see what he brings to Jacksonville. And if you care about Christian Kirk, his target competition's gone. I don't. It doesn't change things for me, but it might for you.
Very fair. Evan, who you got?
Well, Mike, isn't that Drake London right next to Brian Thomas Jr. that you just pulled up?
Gosh,
It is.
darn it. This is the worst day of my life. All right. Well,
You've lived a pretty good life then.
Restart the show.
Yeah, that's it. Send him to the
Cancel
shadow
us.
realm.
We're done.
That's it.
Get us out of here.
Unsubscribe.
That's it.
Dislike this video. But Evan, who you got?
Yeah, it's still going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he is on the verge of that S tier. I just don't know if I can quite put him up there. So sticks into the A. Absolute target hog. You know exactly what you're getting when you get him on your team. Goff is great when he's at home. Amon-Ra is great when he's at home. J-Mo, but people love J-Mo. I'm still not convinced. But maybe I'm holding on to it a little too long here. But yes, the offense is changing, offensive coordinator moving on, but he's still good at football. Let's not undersell how good Amon-Ra is. He's been an absolute production king over the past few seasons. You look at the touchdown numbers, double-digit touchdowns the last 2 seasons. That's what you can expect out of this high-flying offense.
Yep. I think the J-Mo breakout actually hurts Laporta more than anybody else, but that's a question for another day. I'm going to go ahead and take the other LSU wide receiver from last year, Malik Neighbors. If you break the rookie receptions record, that'll work. That'll work. I think he had 160 targets last year. That'll work.
Something like that, yeah.
And if Russ and Jameis are not good, but they're better than Tommy DeVito, and I'm willing to take that risk.
Especially if it ends up being Jameis, because say what you will about the guy, he finds ways to get balls to his wide receivers.
Phrasing. Pete, your turn.
I'll go with Puka Nacua for the Rams. I know there's concern about Devontae Adams. I think both guys can eat in this offense. When you look at the receptions and targets last year, he only played 11 games, had 106 targets, 79 receptions, 990 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Puka Nacua was second in points per game last year at 18.8. That's really what I like to look at instead of just overall fantasy finish. But there's targets to be had in this offense. Even if Devontae Adams takes 100-plus targets, Cooper Kupp had 112 games. Puka Nacua had 106 in 11 games. Tutu Atwell had 62. Demarcus Robinson had 64. Jordan Whittington had 28. Tyler Johnson had 41. Heck, even Kyron Williams had 40. So I think there's tons of meat to go around in the offense. And I think Devontae Adams, both guys are going to have their spike weeks, but overall, Puka Nacua is going to be the most consistent guy on the field out of the two. And that relationship with him and Stafford just continues to grow.
I'm going to have to watch for the breakfast storylines this summer and see if Devontae Adams starts getting the Taco Bell breakfast with Matt Stafford. Then
I never had the Taco Bell breakfast, but I know Devontae's a big fan.
You should give it a go. It hits the spot. But
Hey, the last time I had a Taco Bell breakfast, I was sweating in my car because I felt like my stomach was about to explode. So
that's part of the journey. It's a good time. All right, David. I think there's at least one more person to put in the A tier, but
the last one A tier for me is Nico Collins. What can we say about the guy? It was a slow start to his career, but he's been so great for so long now that we can officially say he's figured it out. It's not just a fluke. The real good thing about what happens last year is CJ Stroud wasn't that great, so you can't just worry about is this the product of Stroud or is Collins really that good? He's really that good. And he doesn't have Tank Dell for the whole season. Diggs is gone. And again, we mentioned Christian Kirk earlier. I do not care about him one way or the other. He's dead to me. So it's Collins' show. It's going to be great.
No, that's completely fair. I am a big fan of Nico Collins. I think he's kind of underrated right now. We're 10 receivers deep. We're starting to talk about him. think we need to give him a little more love. But Evan, who you got?
Yeah, Mike, it's the old man that I absolutely love. It's the other wide receiver in the Rams offense, and he deserves to be in this A tier. Look, say what you want about Puka. Puka's great when he plays. Tay Adams continues to play most games. I know 14 games this past season, a little bit of a downturn for him on that, but Puka typically misses, 3-4 games a year. And what does Matthew Stafford love to do? Loves to hyper consolidate targets. And that's exactly what it's going to be. These two wide receivers, it would not surprise me if we look back at the end of the season and go, these two wide receivers were 45% of the target share for Matthew Stafford.
It'd be sick. I put him in A tier because I love and I trust you. I worry about drafting a 95-year-old wide receiver in a new offense. Devontae Adams is very good. That's my only concern. With that, do you guys want to call it on the A tier, or do you want one or two more names?
I'd say that's fair. I was actually thinking about Adams, but I had to go Puka before bringing up Adams,
Very
so I'm
fair.
glad Evan did.
Yeah,
But I think that's good.
Yeah, Adams is a personal B tier for me, but I won't argue it. He's definitely the highest of the B tiers. So
I think this guy should be drafted over Devontae Adams. T. Higgins. You have a stink in your mouth. Wide receiver 4 in points per game last year. Just signed the big contract extension. The Bengals have no defense. When T. Higgins plays, he is a top 10 fantasy football wide receiver. Yes, he's going to continue to have injury things. You know what will really help that hamstring? $100 million. So I think T. Higgins plays more games than he did last year and is still certified good at football with one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
You know what?
Yeah, I feel like I never roster him.
He belongs in B tier. There's no denying that. I wouldn't put him at the top of B tier, and this is really splitting hairs here, but he's the second target, and yes, it's the best offense you could possibly be in, but a lot of what we're projecting is just Cincinnati's defense being the worst in the league, which it pretty much was last year. We know defensive performance year over year is incredibly volatile, so I'm not banking on them being that much of a complete dumpster fire again. So the pure need to throw it for the sake of throwing it, won't be there to that extent next year. So I think Higgins, Chase, they're still going to go down. Chase is still my wide receiver 1. He's that good. Higgins is still a B tier guy, but I think looking at just, wow, look at how good they were last year. Let's project that moving forward. I think that's a little dubious.
I'm not just looking at what he did last year. I'm looking at a career where he's been one moment. Let's see.
5
Top
years,
10
right
points
around
per
1,000.
game, 1,000 yards a game, 1,000 yards.
I mean, I'm not saying he's not good. He's very good. I'm just saying, is he the wide receiver 11 are we at right now? That
is 1,000 yards even that impressive anymore?
He's only doing it in 11 games.
That is fair.
He's setting 1984 records.
Well, hey, he didn't have 1,000 last year or the year before. He actually hasn't had 1,000 2 years straight.
Per game.
I know.
But we're also talking about somebody who has 1,000 fantasy points in 5 seasons in the league. You're looking at somebody who had his best season from a fantasy point standpoint this past season. Mm-hmm. $100 million, Mike. That makes me pretty fat and happy. That doesn't make my hamstring want to work better. All right. So let's remember that. And if you're taking T. Higgins, sure, you're getting production when he's playing. Man, is it tough though when he's not playing and you used an early draft pick on him? Man, I just lost somebody that I used a top 3, top 4 round draft pick on.
Yeah, no way you're talking about how many games they play while putting Devontae Adams at 34 years old, coming off of 11 games.
Whoa, well, we know why Adams had a phony phantom injury last year, which is pretty much, I guess, what you could say about Higgins. But even before the contract, how many times is Higgins, his games played so misleading because he leaves games early and doesn't come back so many times. I
will never forgive him for the zeros. All right. I didn't think I was T. Higgins' strongest soldier. Let's move on from T.
Adams also has multiple 20-point per game seasons. T. Higgins' best season in points per game was last season at 18.5.
Wide receiver 4. When was the last time Tay did 20? Was Avengers 1 in theaters? All right. What's your next one?
Well, I do want to put the caveat out there that I am happy that Garrett Wilson did not get put in the A tier. I'm sure he'll get brought up at some point. I'm not going to be the one to talk about him because I won't have any good things to say about him. I will just go ahead and put out your boy Lad McConkey. I mean, look, I know there's concern about them bringing in somebody else, and that's fine. But I just think when you look at what he did last year, 112 catches, 82 receptions, the connection was strong, and I mean, people underestimate these slot receivers as being low ceilings, but their floors are so high. I mean, he had 82 receptions and still ended up being 16th in points per game. And I don't have it in front of me. I don't know what he finished as total wide receiver off the board or in total rankings for total points. But
Gotcha.
I'm not super concerned. I mean, there's a chance they bring in Loveland. They brought in Najee Harris, but overall, I mean, even if they bring in another weapon, it's kind of like the Cowboys theory. Like, I don't think it hurts him. I think it helps. Like, and he kind of didn't, if I remember correctly, let me pull up the game log, but I don't think he started off extremely hot. I mean, Carolina, he had 4.6 points in week 2. Pittsburgh, he had 7.4 points. He had 8.3, 9.6 week 6, week 7. Like, he only had over 10 points in 2 games in the first 7 weeks. So he started off kind of slow and came on really hot, and he gave us a 34.7 point game a week, 29.4 point week. I don't know, I keep saying point game. Either way. And then 20, he's shown, even if he's a slot receiver where people feel like the upside isn't as high because he's not sexy and this big X receiver, he still has the ability, the yards after catch, to make big plays happen. And I only think that connection is going to get better with him and Herbert. So
I think if he had a cooler name, I don't know, Drake London, we'd be talking about him in the A tier. And if Drake London had a nerdy name like Lad McConkey, we'd talk about him in the C tier.
Just say what you want, Mike. All right. Just say if Drake London was a white boy. Okay.
Whoa. I said if his name was Lad. But David, who you got for B?
Okay, probably the biggest discrepancy between redraft and dynasty. So I want to remind everyone here, we're doing a redraft thing. Mike Evans, nations crumble, mountains fall. Mike Evans gets 1,000 yards year in, year out. Until he stops doing it, I refuse to believe he ever will. There's a new offensive coordinator in Tampa, yes, but Baker Mayfield's back. Chris Godwin's back. They have that dynamic figured out perfectly. Evans can still find the end zone like basically nobody else in the league. And if there's one thing those 1,006-yard seasons have taught us, it's Tampa Bay will do everything in their power to get that man to 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs' new OC is just going to walk in. He's going to see what Liam Cohen had written on a whiteboard, and it's just going to say, give the ball to my good players, and he's going to do that. So,
yeah, sometimes football's easy. See the 6'4" guy that can run past the defense? Throw it to him.
Weird. I will say, Mike Evans, more points per game than Devontae Adams last year. Evan, who would you like to bring up?
Why do you have to be this way, Mike? That's all I have to say to that. Okay. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be the next one that I'm going to put in this tier. I was definitely a hater on JSN, and probably a tough look to have him do what he did this past season. Yeah. I mean, what do we know about Darnold? What do we know about Howe? They both love to chuck the ball around with reckless abandonment.
I have a question.
You do that.
I have a question about Sam Darnold.
Okay.
Has he supported good fantasy receivers when he wasn't playing in Minnesota?
Has he had good fantasy receivers when he wasn't in Minnesota?
Right.
Did he had DJ Moore.
Yeah. How'd that go?
But I don't think he started for that long.
DJ Moore also had a 50% reception percentage.
Because they were uncatchable targets. I just worry when the thesis is that Sam Darnold might be okay.
I mean, look, how much better is Geno Smith than Sam Darnold?
A lot.
That is really what it comes down to. I mean, okay. So then you're talking about going from a DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett pulling away targets to now having to compete with a Yeah, I'll say it. A washed up Cooper Kupp.
Whoa. This is Jake Bobo Erasure.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get much
I think
on the
the targets
washed up
are.
Cooper Kupp thing.
Oh, yeah. Cooper
I
Kupp,
think the targets
whatever.
are going to be there. I think there's a chance for 150 targets this year. And if you tell me any receiver in the league has 150 targets, they have a great chance of being a wide receiver 1.
I will not fight you because I will continue to make snide comments about Devontae Adams. Make that my journey. Let's see who else can go in the B tier. Ladies and gentlemen.
I was just about to say, please, for the love of God,
All right.
don't skip him.
So DJ Moore, all he did last year was top 18 wide receiver? What was he last year?
26 in points per game.
26 in points per game. All right. That's tough. All he did was play the whole season and finished as the wide receiver 15. Guys, I just refuse to admit that Caleb Williams is going to completely stink. They've revamped their offensive line. They have a sexy new head coach. Keenan Allen is gone. There's more targets to go around. This is the exact thesis for a receiver that we know has produced for fantasy to produce even more. So I will bet on him re-breaking out, even though, he's still good. And we're all the way down here at, what is this, wide receiver 18-ish? Sure. That seems like a fair price for DJ Moore.
Yeah, I'm a big DJ Moore fan. When you look at his targets, he's had under 118 targets one time, and it was his rookie year with 82. Outside of that, he's had 140, 136, 118, 162, 118, 135, and 140 targets last year in a really crowded offense. And he gets pretty much the best situation he's ever had in his career with Ben Johnson, and hopefully another year with Caleb. So I think this is actually a really cheap price. If I get DJ Moore behind all these guys, I'd be ecstatic.
And I'd like to just do a little bit of Caleb Williams' defense here. Was he this generational prospect people were billing him up to be before the draft? No, he wasn't as good as Jaden Daniels, probably wasn't as good as Drake May, but he still had a solid rookie season. Playing NFL football for a quarterback is a very hard thing to do. He just happened to come out in one of the best quarterback drafts we can remember. So I think the future's still looking pretty good for Williams, so therefore the future's looking good for Moore too.
All right, we're all on board. Pete, who else you got in the B tier?
I'm not gonna say Marv. I guess I'd go with Terry McLaurin, and that would be it. You could maybe make an argument for Tyreek Hill, but I think saying Terry is fair. He gets another year. I know Deebo Samuel's there, and that's concerning. The big worry with Terry McLaurin is just if the touchdowns go down, which likely good chance they do with Deebo Samuel being a red zone threat, how does that affect his fantasy outcome? But last year, he was 14th in points per game at 15.8. We saw him. He had less targets last year than he's had since his rookie season, where he had 117. So, and he was able to turn that into the best season he's ever had. Now he had 13 touchdowns. We're definitely going to see some regression there. I would probably bank on somewhere around 7 to 8 for him this year, especially with Deebo Samuel there. But another year with Jaden Daniels, and I expect that relationship to continue to grow. So I'm good with Terry. This could completely change in a couple weeks because there's a very good chance they draft another receiver. So
I think what's tough with Terry is that I think we all value him wide receiver 2 range. We expect some touchdown regression. Maybe the offense gets a little better as Jaden Daniels, the game slowed down.
Yep.
God, I think he's going off the board top 12, top 13 because the Commanders hype is going. It's probably going to be a fade for a couple of us.
Yeah. Not at that price.
Cool. David?
All right, Pete, you're not willing to do it, so I'll be the brave one. Marvin Harrison Jr. is Tyreek, get him away from here. Get him out. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a B-tier receiver for me. I think this is another thing where it's just misplaced expectations, and now we're overreacting. Marvin Harrison Jr., much like Caleb Williams, came into the draft. We were thinking this guy is an all-timer generational talent. Didn't quite go that way, but he still finished last year with 62 receptions, 885 yards, and 8 touchdowns on 116 targets. Those are great numbers. Now, did he do what Malik Neighbors did? No. Did he do what Brian Thomas did? No. Did he do what Ladd McConkey did? Not really, but that was just such a great wide receiver class. Like, so much talent came out last year, both the quarterback and wide receiver position. It skewed our expectations from what we expect out of most rookies, which is some good flashes, but they're not there yet. It's hard to adjust to the NFL. I don't think Marvin Harrison, he was my wide receiver one coming out. He's not anymore, so I have adjusted to his rookie year, but I'm not willing to just completely, blow him past, say, C tier, because he had a good rookie season instead of a fantastic one.
Very fair. Do we want to talk about Tyreek Hill?
I don't.
I can't.
I mean,
All right.
I can.
It's one of those, like, maybe he's got a year or two left. I don't care to find out. Like, I doubt I'll have much of him anywhere I go.
All right. Well, Evan, is there somebody else you want to throw on the B tier, or you want to move on down to C?
Look, as gross as it is, I'm still going to buy in to Garrett Wilson. Because
Oh, no.
Who else?
Justin Fields is there, right?
Okay. Is Justin Fields going to have over 300 pass attempts this year? Because half of them are going.
Evan, I'm so sorry. I clicked that before you started talking, and then it was spinning and loading.
What do you have that already?
But Justin Fields, continue. 300 attempts.
If Fields has 300 attempts, Garrett Wilson's getting 140 targets. If you tell me a receiver has 140 targets, even if that's 85 receptions, you got to give me hope that he's going to be a high-end wide receiver too.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to tell me that he's going to put up 14 points a game, like, I will be happy at the price that you're getting him here, which is what? Wide receiver?
This is 19.
19?
Yep.
Sure. I'll take a potential high-end wide receiver too with some spike weeks where he gets multiple touchdowns in a game, and I'll deal with that.
Okay.
I'm with that too.
I support it. I just wish Justin Fields was still in Pittsburgh. All right, let's move on down to the C tier. We're at 19 receivers here, so we'll kick it off with number 20. I think I might just take I was going to do everyone's favorite wide receiver 2, who's the wide receiver 1 for his team, Zay Flowers. If you want a guy in your wide receiver 2 spot that's going to get you 6 targets for 5 catches for 80 yards every week, it's Zay Flowers. He might not score a touchdown. He might get 70 yards. He might get 85. And that's okay because he gives me a warm, fuzzy blanket in PPR leagues, and I like that in my wide receiver too, especially players at this price.
Okay.
All right, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I at this point have to go Tyreek Hill. I think this is a fair spot for him, to be honest with you. Look, I mean, there's a lot going on. We have no idea what's going to happen. I don't even understand what's happening in Miami. Is he staying? Is he going?
I don't think Tyreek Hill understands what Tyreek
Hill is
I
mean, is his phone hacked? Like, I don't know what's really going on. But yeah, terrible year last year, 29 points per game. Let's keep in mind that the offense was in shambles. Tua missed some time. Stu Huntley was throwing him the football. I mean, there was a lot of moving parts to that. And he had the wrist injury that he apparently came in, I believe, before the season with the injury. Hard to not. I mean, we still know the yards after catch ability is going to be there. And as long as he has that game-breaking ability, like we've seen, it's hard to ignore. Yes. And hopefully he doesn't get locked up because who knows at this point what might happen. But I'm trying I don't know. I mean, if Tyreek Hill is the wide receiver 20, I will gladly take that chance on him. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'll take that chance.
I don't think there's another receiver we're going to talk about that, like, if Tyreek Hill finishes the wide receiver 1 on the season, I think we wouldn't be that surprised. If he finished as the wide receiver 85 on the season, I also don't think we would be that surprised.
Yeah.
Just, it's a gross feeling to have him on your team. So, like, It's one of those. I'm probably gonna have him a little less than I should, but I'm gonna be fine with that.
It's a very upstanding citizen. David, who would you like to put in the C tier?
Okay, so anyone that's been listening for a bit knows that I don't like coming in sixth. I want to come in first, and if I don't come in first, it's because I'm coming in last because I'm taking a few too many risks that maybe I shouldn't. In this case, I'm going after the guy who is clearly the best wide receiver in this class that only plays wide receiver. And I think he's going to be a top 10 pick. That's what we're projecting right now. Ted McMillan, come on down. I think there's enough. Pretty much everyone has their quarterback spot filled out. I can't ignore top 10 picks, and this is a redraft list. So a lot of redraft players don't really know the rookies all that well. This doesn't apply to Dynasty. We're all degenerates. We know everything this guy's done since he was 17. Most redraft leagues, they're going to overlook him. There's a lot of value to be had if you start targeting McMillan. I got a really good feeling about him this year.
All right. You are preemptively showing your Patriots bias. I'm rooting for you on the draft night.
I'd love it if he became a Patriot, but they're drafting Will Campbell, and they're not trading out of 4.
It's going to be a sick
Even
guard.
though they should. The
first 2 years are going to suck, but then, man, he's going to be the best left guard since Logan Mankins. Actually, no, Joe Thuney, I forgot. Yeah, he played left guard too.
Oh, man.
Yep. Bring me back. Just do whatever it takes to not see Cole Strange anymore.
Evan, please get Cole Strange out of our minds. Who would you like to put in C?
Yeah. Do we have any full picture on how the injury recovery is going? Do we have any full picture on how the doubles are going? Man, I don't know. It's all up in the air right now. But just like they said, if we're going to take a swing, I'm going to take a home run swing. Like, I don't care about no single. We've talked about this before, Mike. I'm swinging for the fences. I'm straight up square buttoning this thing, trying to smash it out of the park. All right.
Love it.
You look at what Rashid Rice did this past season. He only played 3 games. I get it. But what did he do in those 3 games? Oh, yeah. 9 targets for 7 receptions, 103 yards. 6 targets for 5 receptions for 75 and a touchdown. 14 targets for 12 receptions, 110 and a touchdown. Dude, those are incredible numbers. Even if he puts up 75% of that, I will be incredibly happy. Even if he puts up 60% of that production, I will be incredibly happy with the Rashid Rice pick at this point in the game. He's still tied to Patrick Mahomes. They still throw the ball around. I get it. They brought Hollywood Brown back. Yeah, Xavier Worthy's the hot, fancy new name. Oh boy, new guy in town. No, Rashid Rice is still the one in this offense.
Very fair. You know what? While we're doing injury upside picks, let's just throw Chris Godwin up there, the wide receiver 1 in our hearts. The Bucs GM was quoted saying, "I would never bet against Chris." So I don't know. Maybe he's ready for week 1. Maybe he doesn't play at all this season. Hopefully, by the time you're drafting. I don't, and I'm willing to bet on the upside.
And hopefully they let him keep being a slot receiver. He's good outside, but fantasy-wise, he's at his best in the slot. Cohen knew that. He had he had his best season in years. Not sure if that'll keep happening. That's the only real question mark aside from the injury I have.
I don't think Cohen cleaned out the share drive when he left. I think he left his everything plugged in. There's still an external hard drive that says get the ball to Chris Godwin, Bucky Irving, and Mike Evans.
Hey, don't forget K-Dot.
All right. Get out of here, Snapshare.
Yeah, I would have actually, Chris Godwin was going to be my pick. I would have probably had Chris Godwin over everybody in this tier, to be honest with you. But I didn't pick him, so that's on me. I'm going to go with Rome Odunze, though. Between Rome Odunze and Devonta Smith, I'm going to take the guy that's likely going to be in the higher passing offense, which will be Odunze, who I trust the offense coordinator. The Eagles lose their OC. You have Ben Johnson now here in this offense. We expect it to be revitalized. No Keenan Allen stealing targets. And Rome Odunze for a rookie, 101 targets as a rookie. Now, he only caught 54 of them, which is absolutely putrid. And he only averaged 8.5 points per game, which was 56th. But it's just really me banking on talent, banking on that, he catches more than 50% of his targets. And I'm excited to see what this offense looks like. And I going back over the film, and just watching some of his games and some of his highlights, I mean, he looked good out there. It's just a matter of Caleb and the struggles with the offensive line. I mean, he was second in the NFL with unrealized air yards. So I'm good with it. I expect them to start hooking up on some of those targets. So
yeah, that's completely fair. David, who would you like to put in there?
I guess it's not a fun one, but Cortland Sutton, I suppose. Might as well bring him in. He's like pretty much the unquestioned wide receiver 1 in Denver. I'm not completely sold on Bo Nix as a franchise quarterback yet, and I fully admit that might be Mac Jones shell shock speaking. But even if he regresses and the league starts figuring him out, just throw it to the big guy. He'll make a play.
Yep. I think Sutton is actually one of the guys that I'm most worried about what's going to happen in the draft, because he's fine. He's all right.
I would also say that like every wide receiver in this class, except for like Tet and Travis Hunter, who will be gone long before Denver can get them, is fine.
I just think
this isn't last year. I'm not worried about anyone coming in and like taking his job. And again, it's redraft.
Pete, as our resident Broncos fan.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, I actually had a beat reporter from Denver on my show like 2 weeks ago, and he pretty much said that there's good productive talks of them getting into a contract extension. It looks like he'll be at OTAs next week, which he wasn't last year when there was contract issues. So it seems like things are going well there. So I expect him to be there. Now, they're going to bring in weapons. They just brought in Evan Ingram. I mean, clearly Sean Payton must have had a good conversation with Ingram to get him to go there over the Chargers, which pretty much contracts were exactly the same as what was reported. And I expect them to bring in some sort of running back. So I don't know, but all reports say that they really like this. Peyton, for some reason, likes this wide receiver room. I was wrong on Troy Franklin. Me and Mike talked about him.
Wait, that was tough.
Yeah, that was tough. But I don't know. He seems to like this wide receiver room. So I really wouldn't shock me if they don't add in the first 2 days at all. So
he might be the only one in America that likes that receiver room. But that's all that matters. Yeah. All right. Evan, who else? Do you have anybody else for C tier? I think there's a couple of names that'd be sad if we eliminated them.
Look, we're going to talk about the wild card right here. It is Travis Hunter. All right.
Ooh.
If he plays enough wide receiver, and you should know relatively early in the season how much wide receiver position he's going to play. He already came out and said that he wants to play both sides of the field. He's going to play both sides of the field. And if all reports are correct and he goes to Cleveland, you're going to tell me that Jerry Jeudy's a better wide receiver than Travis Hunter?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. No. All right. Yeah. Okay. You're going to probably have old man Joe Flacco throwing the football. I mean, Flacco had some Cleveland magic last time. He made a lot of weapons very productive in that offense. Yep. So you already have Denzel Ward on the other side of the football. You can allow Hunter to be a CB2 on the backside, and then you throw him as the wide receiver 1, say, hey, really focus on being the wide receiver for us, and then we'll let you play corner, rather than really focus on being the corner for us, and then we'll let you play wide receiver. Pete, you got anything else to say? I see you kind of squirming there.
No, I'm with you there. I mean, it's similar, the Travis Hunter thing. I feel like Evan has a type. The Rashee Rice thing, right? Like, I'd rather swing on the upside there. I feel the same way with Travis Hunter. We'll get some more clarity. I mean, if Travis Hunter is drafted as a wide receiver, I mean, it's hard to not have him projected inside the top 20, 25, and that's really where we are right now. So I think it's fair to put him there. I know Mike was looking to add somebody else, and there's somebody else I think Mike probably wants to put in here too, but I'm not going to be the one that puts it in there for him. He's going to have to man up and put him in it himself. So,
all right. Well, listen, we're in this tier. I know that we're throwing a lot of like upside mystery box, exciting. How are they coming back from the injury? Are they going to get arrested? Is Bo Nix going to stay good at football? All of those things, giant mystery boxes. Why just take the guy he's going to be the wide receiver 23. He's going to get 100 targets. He's going to catch a bunch of them. It's not sexy. It's not fun, but it's safe for your wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 spot, which I think that's about where he's going in drafts. It's just not the upside fun pick, and that's okay. That's Devontae Smith for audio only.
You want a solid 14, 15 points per game throughout the entire season? That is Devonta Smith.
I mean,
right there.
Can one of you guys answer this though? Would you prefer to take a chance on Rome or would you prefer Devonta Smith?
I would rather take a shot on Rome, honestly.
Yeah,
and I'm the resident Eagles fan on this
I didn't know that.
right now. So
I think it goes to team build. Like if you are.
Yep.
Well, that's a boring answer.
All right. Let's say you've already taken 2 really good wide receivers. You can roll the dice and take a risky one. Like, go take some Rome. If you're like, oh, crap, this is going to be my wide receiver 2, you can't afford to take a 0 with Rome there if he, flames out.
I definitely thought that you were going to talk about team build of the NFL teams, not your fantasy team, Mike. So, yes, the team build situation. You look at what the Eagles do. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball some more. They're going to make Saquon carry the ball. Probably draft a running back this year. And then every once in a while, they'll throw to A.J. Brown. Every once in a while, they'll throw to Saquon out of the backfield. Every once in a while, Smitty will get a ball. If you want 6 targets a week, there you go. Smitty's your guy. Uninspiring.
And he'll make the most of those 6 targets. It's just never going to be what you want.
Yep. You guys are making me so sad. I just wanted to say that he's good at football and he's going to get enough targets to be okay.
Yeah, late C tier, that's fine with me. It's just not very exciting, which a lot of times that's what wins you your leagues. A lot of times it's not fun to talk about on a podcast. Very
fair. I think there's maybe 1 or 2 guys we can throw in here. Peter, are there any that are coming to mind for you?
Keyshawn Butte.
I was assuming you were going to try to make the case for DK Metcalf at some point if we're talking taking a risk.
If I know you, Mike, it's the case for George Pickens.
Let's go. Pickens gang.
Oh, I don't know.
You're alone on this one, buddy. Have fun. The floor is yours.
I'm taking him more.
No, I mean if we're being completely honest, I'm definitely not going Xavier Worthy, but I feel like I'm trying to find an argument to put Chris Olave in here. I know it's not the thing anybody wants to hear because we don't know the quarterback situation, and I'm here for the pushback. I get it. It's just one of those things. It's like talent over situation for me. If he's healthy and he's on the field, he's a good player. If Spencer Rattler's throwing in the football, I have concerns, but I just don't think so. If Shedeur Sanders, who I'm not even high on, is his quarterback, I can't see him not being a top 25 player if he's healthy. So to me, I'll say Chris Olave. I'm fine putting him in the D tier, but him and Xavier Worthy are probably the only 2 guys, maybe Jameson Williams, that I could even argue.
I wanted to argue, and thank you for the good leeway, Jameson Williams. All right, we're talking about a guy. One moment, Jameson Williams. Let's see, had about the same points per game as Cortland Sutton. Broke out a little bit as the season went on. Still just 23 years old. Like, there's a lot of very good indicators that the breakout was real and is here to stay. If you want the boom bust guy for your wide receiver 3, or a very exciting wide receiver 2 that you want to roll the dice on, gambling pun intended, like, go get you some Jameson Williams and enjoy the ride. Is that a C or a D tier type player to you guys, though?
I'd say very late C, because D tier is a guy that probably can't single-handedly win me a week. That is, Jameson can do that. It's just you might get a 0 too.
Yeah, but you could make the argument that Calvin Ridley could win you a week. He had a couple big games last year. You know why I can't put Jameson Williams there? It's because I don't trust the Lions offense without Ben Johnson. I don't.
That is very fair. That's very fair.
Yeah, I don't like how many people they lost. So that's my biggest issue with JMO is regression, and maybe Laporta has a bounce back year plus the loss of Ben Johnson.
I have about Laporta. It's just Johnson for me.
I have added a frisky tier, and it has Olave, Williams, and Waddle, who are all the same human to me.
Oh, Waddle.
I mean, Olave, if you promised me 17 games, I can guarantee you Rattler's not starting week 1. They'll find somebody else if Carr can't do it.
It'll be
If
Jake
you promised me
Haynes.
17 weeks of Olave with anyone with a right arm, like I'd put Olave like low B tier. My biggest problem is his brain is soup.
All right. We've gone off the rails. Pete, is there anyone you'd like to add to C, Frisky, or D?
I mean, if we're gonna be frisky, I'm gonna say something that's real. You guys are not gonna like, but
Perfect.
I'm good with Christian Kirk. I don't even care. You can hate on me all you want, but look at what Stephon Diggs did last year. I had a whole post about it. I don't have anything in front of me, but Stephon Diggs is one of the better fantasy wide receivers before he got hurt. And Christian Kirk fits into that offense exactly how Diggs played in that slot role. And the low A dot, which is pretty much what Diggs had last year, he's going to get all the underneath. Like if Christian Kirk, I'm buying Christian Kirk this year. I really like him. And if we're talking frisky, he's frisky for me. So I know he burned a lot of people, but man, if you go on player profile and you type in Stephon Diggs, Christian Kirk is actually the most comped player to him, ironically. But I really like the landing spot. I think they need the help there. So I think he's going to be good.
I quietly agree with you. Don't tell Evan and David that. So while they glare at me, Tank Dell, 1 billion targets, Stephon Diggs, 1 billion targets, some Joe Mixon or Dalton Schultz or someone else gross, but Christian Kirk, slot player with a good quarterback, is normally the underrated, sad fantasy option that, you throw him in your flex, you're happy.
Yeah.
Cool. David, who would you like to put in C, Frisky, or D?
Have we done Jordan Addison yet? Did we overlook him?
He's right here. He's at the front. He was driving very quickly to get there.
Okay, I'll throw Addison as a very high D tier just because of the uncertainty around McCarthy. But I'm running out of ways to say guy's good at football. Will he ever be Justin Jefferson? Absolutely not. But he can help a young quarterback out. He has a great offensive coach, and there's tons of potential with McCarthy. So I'm feeling good about D tier.
In targets per game, he was right between Adam Thielen, Darnell Mooney, and Quentin Johnston. Do with that what you choose.
I'm feeling less good about Jordan Addison.
I think D tier's fine. I just
Hawkinson's fine, but I would have thought it was higher than that.
Hawkinson's back. The Darnold McCarthy. I think McCarthy's gonna be better than Darnold, so I'm willing to make that bet. But he needs to be very efficient on his targets because there's so many other mouths to feed.
I hate Jordan Addison.
All right, Evan. Who do you love or hate?
Sorry, David.
Man, I'm going to go with Xavier Worthy down there in that D tier. It's finally time. Look, if you're going to tell me any of the wide receivers on that team get hurt again this year, whether it's Rasheed missing time to start the season or whether it's Hollywood Brown, who is perpetually injured, getting injured once again. Obviously, never root for a guy to get injured, but he's always injured. This is just the facts. Facts with Evan. Moving on here. Xavier Worthy is the darling that everybody wanted him to be at the end of the season. Sure, there's questions about whatever charges, happened earlier this offseason that didn't really mean too much. But you look at what he did, end of the season. Okay, Mike. Okay. But they can run the offense through him if needed. They can get big plays out of him if needed. Do you want to run him over the middle got Tank Dell hurt? No. Please don't. Please don't put him blocking on the goal line on a linebacker or something stupid like that. But he runs real fast. He plays on the outside. He can be a just one-catch receiver that does what MVS used to do, that we used to love in best ball leagues, where he'd go one catch for 60 yards and a touchdown. Right there. That's a startable week.
All right. I support that. I think the touchdowns and the design touches will be nice. moving down, I think we're just kind of ignoring these three rookies. If you had to rank these three for redraft leagues, we're talking about Matthew Golden, Mika Igbokwe, and Luther Burden. How would you rank them?
Redraft, I'd have Igbokwe. I'd have Igbokwe
Yeah.
just because I think he's going to be the most NFL ready when he gets there.
So we'll put Igbokwe in D.
I
I'd
can't
probably go
because I
Golden
need
next,
landings.
but I don't have a strong take on really all three without knowing their landing spots.
Pre-landing spot.
My feeling is Golden and Burden are going to be more landing spot dependent than Igbokwe, so that's why I'm more comfortable putting Igbokwe there. I think Burden, he's a more gadgety. I know people hating that people are saying it, but he's going to be needed to be used the right way. And I think Golden, I'm not sold on Golden. I know everybody really likes him. He's kind of shot up, but like there wasn't a ton of college production there. And I mean, if Isaiah Bond is out targeting you, I don't know what's going on. I mean, no, Quinn Ewers kind of stunk, but I like Golden, but I go with Igbokwe if it's redraft.
Yep, I think
we're in sync. We're in sync here, Pete, because I'm not a huge fan of Matthew Golden either. So we did a film breakdown on Matthew Golden and talked about how I'm just not really a fan.
Yep, he could be fun if he was a gadget player, but I think he's going to be a sacrificial X that they just put on the outside and they say run fast. Luther Burden excites me because I don't think you can teach that kind of athleticism, like the way that he changes directions, the way he breaks tackles. It needs to be very obvious early in the season. They're like, we need to get the ball in this guy's hands. Maybe it's a slow start, but this is do you want the safe bet? Do you want the upside bet? I think Igbokwe, you can pencil him in for 90-ish targets. I think Burden, you can pencil him in for 15 touchdowns. You can pencil him in for 0 and off of his team. Like, who knows?
Yeah. All right, Mike, as the resident Pittsburgh guy, would you rather either of the Pittsburgh wide receivers or both of the Pittsburgh wide receivers over those three rookies?
Over Golden, definitely. Because I think the other two are better receivers, and the way that they win is translatable with whoever's playing quarterback. Even if it's Mason Rudolph, they're going to have a couple of touchdown spike weeks. But you gotta tell me who's playing quarterback. If Rodgers comes in, I think we've severely overrated or underrated the Pittsburgh receivers. If they're drafting a Jackson Dart, there's rumors that Mike Tomlin loves Jalen Milroe. Like, you got to talk to me about who's throwing them the ball, because if it's Milroe, I'm expecting 230 passes, and it's going to be disgusting.
I still can't imagine how.
I cannot imagine the chaos that will come out of Milroe, like Metcalf and Pickett, just like on a real NFL field, like two guys that can't shut up about getting the ball versus an offense that will not throw it.
This is my nightmare, and I'm just so excited for the season and how it's going to turn out. Do you guys want to put them in D tier?
I think that's cool. I'm good with that. I mean, I'd rather roster them over Addison. I mean, I'm a hater of Addison, so I can admit that. But like, at least DK or Pickens, one of them will be the number one. Addison's like likely third option on his team at best,
if not fourth behind the running back.
Yeah, and Jalen Naylor ain't too bad either. I mean, I'm not. Is it Jalen Naylor? Is that his first name?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
He's pretty solid too. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. But
cool. All right, Pete, you want to put anybody else in the D tier?
Yeah, Joshua Paul. No, I'm just kidding. Not Josh Palmer. I'm just looking through the crop that's left here. I mean, I feel gross not talking about Jaden Reed and Brandon Ayuk, but too many mouths to feed. I'll go with Jaden Reed. Yeah, I'll go with Jaden Reed. Just take
I'll throw Ayuk up there too for you. Like, if he comes back from the injury, there's less mouths to feed.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on Ayuk, but I'd rather take it. I would be comfortable taking the chance. If one of you guys are comfortable with Ayuk, throw him up there. But I'm good with Jaden Reed. I like Jaden Reed there.
Yeah, in redraft, I probably wouldn't put Ayuk up there. The last show we did together, you made a good case for him in Dynasty. I can't buy in for a 1 year thing. It feels gross, but my pick for D tier, my last guy would be Calvin Ridley. He's still the unquestioned one in this offense. Cam Ward, by default, is better than Will Levis. And yeah, he's older. Yeah, he's good, not great. But frankly, at this point in the draft or this rankings, like, you take that.
Very fair. Evan, give us one more. Then we're going to let Pete chat about what he's got going on. And then we're going to speed run one more name.
And that's really unfortunate because I wanted to talk about Calvin Ridley as well, and how the two running backs on the Tennessee Titans may be second and third on this team in targets this coming season. Because holy crap, like, what do they have at wide receiver? Burks, I think, is still on the roster. Van Jefferson, James Prochet. Oh boy, that's striking some fear in the hearts of defenses.
They could draft your boy to go with Cam Ward.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just block. That's all he needs to do is get in there and block.
But,
all right. Yeah. So looking through the list, we're starting to get into the slim pickings area here. But I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy. Look, we're going to be throwing the ball around in Cleveland. They're going to be seeing what they can do. They're probably going to be behind in a handful of games. The team is bad. The quarterback situation is questionable at best, but somebody needs to catch targets, and Jeudy performed admirably. Maybe Travis Hunter doesn't come around as expected. Maybe you can take Jerry Jeudy early in the season while Travis Hunter's still getting his NFL legs underneath him, and he'll have a couple of pop weeks, and then you can move him. Is Jeudy going to be the best thing on your team? No. Is he going to be probably a bench guy consistently? Yeah, probably. He'll probably just be a bye week filler. But he's a bye week filler that you might be able to trade early in the season if he has a couple pops.
Okay, we'll take that. So if you guys are listening on audio only, hop over to the YouTube. We have the full rankings up there for you. If you don't recognize their names, just hop over to Twitter. I'll break down everything for you there. But that does it for today's show. Before we go, you can find me on Twitter at FFMikeCash. And one name that I want to talk about that we didn't, Jacoby Myers. Pete, where can they find you? What are you working on? And who's one name you want to talk about?
So you can find me at Player Profiler now, as well as the FF Faceoff. Working on some possibly doing a DST guide for all 32 teams. Just something fun, just for fantasy. That's something that's just going to be a cool project for me over the summer. I'll probably drop that before the season starts. And then just doing some Dynasty stuff here and there, and watching baseball this summer and getting ready for redraft season and all that. In terms of a player that I would have liked to maybe have gotten talked about that didn't is it's probably Keon Coleman. I don't love Keon Coleman, but you're talking about a chance to be the number one wide receiver. Maybe you take a step forward. We're talking about the wide receiver 30 at this point. I'm comfortable taking a chance maybe on a guy like him. So Keon Coleman would have been my next guy.
Very fair. Boys, where can they find you?
Okay. You can find me running the RPG Twitter account. I try and stay off social media as much as possible because my job is dealing with the public all the time. So I am good dealing with public as minimal as possible. And you can obviously find me here pretty much every week on with Mike, smiling, doing our thing, enjoying life. One guy that I would like to shout out is Third and Juwan. Good old Juwan Jennings.
Love him. David?
All right, you can find me over at Last Word on Sports. I'm the NFL managing editor alongside Mike. And the one guy I want to talk about is Stephon Diggs, who could very well do nothing this year, could very well be the best option for a young ascending quarterback in Drake May with absolutely nobody else to throw the ball to.
Very cool. Draft LKO Manor. Like and subscribe. Follow Pete. We love you. I love you, Evan. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the Goblins get you.